My name is Ram. I completed my master's from NIT Surathkal, and currently I'm working as QA automation engineer. I have overall 6.5 years experience. So, um, so here is the short section on QA automation learning. And uh, generally, not only software industry, if you look at any industries, they have to do quality checks on their products before delivering it to the outside customers. And yeah, the value of the product is, we can say, directly proportional to um, the quality checks performed on that product. So quality checks always play a key role in uh, uh, brand value or product original value. um, if you look at any product, uh, there are there are multiple parts in that product. There are multiple components in the product. So, before the product is validated altogether as a system, each component has to be validated, and then those components has to be assembled together, and those assembled components has to go through integration checks, and then finally the product has to go through complete system check. That is the same process followed in even in software industry. So I wanted you to think like a software as a car. I will show a couple of videos how BMW assemble its car parts, and how it will validate the speed on the speed and tire functionality of a car. So I will show a couple of videos, and I wanted you to correlate the same thing with software industry. And yeah, so these days, manual checks. Um, so there is a lot of automation available. People wanted to use more of automation than manpower. That is intent needed. There are advantages of using automation over manpower. If so, as I listed here, there is no manual error if you use automation, and the process is consistent. There won't be any variation today and tomorrow. See, if let's say one car let's take an example as BMW car again. If one car is validated in a particular way, the next car is also exactly validated in the same way. And with automation, there is a scope of improvement. The scalability of business will increases. They will be able to deliver a huge number of products in less time. That is like delivering fast with ease. And also there are advantages for industry to use manpower. So instead of using manpower at manual checks, they can use manpower at innovating something else, something new product, or some good automation tools. They may want to replace their legacy automation tools with new automation tools. So maybe they will use manpower to do research there. So with this, let me quickly show a couple of videos of how BMW assemble their car parts. I will show 10 seconds of video here. Um, so if you look at the video here, there's a huge automation tools available for BMW uh, to assemble different parts of the cars. So the idea is, yeah. So I don't want to show this. Yeah, you can just browse through the net and see how BMW is assembling each part of the car uh, to get a complete car, each part of component to get complete car. So this is also one more video just to show how BMW verify speed of the car. If you observe, uh, see the tires are rotating. And if you look at the screen, in front of the car, right? It is showing different speed variation. So the idea there is they're not using manual checks, or they're not using real time I mean practical roads and all to validate uh, to validate its functionality. They're using simulated ways, and they're using more of a automation to validate car speed, or to assemble and then validate individual parts of the car. So that's the advantage of automation. So in software industry also, it's not easy to have manpower to validate each and every part. There should be automation. There has to be automation running, and uh, people they will use people to deploy that automation and maintain that automation. They don't really need people uh, just to check something. uh, I too agree there are some places where automation is not possible. That is where manual testers play key role. There has to be manual testers, but is uh, so as a QA engineer, you need to improve your skills as, uh, as an automation engineer. So if manual thing is needed, you should be able to do it, and if automation is needed, you should have I mean, you have to maintain the automation skills uh, to keep up with the requirements. Basic QA skills. As a QA engineer, you should be good at these skills. Uh, you should be really good observant, and this is because so each product comes with its own requirements. You have to observe the behavior of the product in each and every requirement. And let me give you an example. See, in interviews, people will ask some of these questions. Um, they say there is a product which will take uh, two integer values as input, and the product will generate one random number, and the random number should be between the given input values. So if you closely observe the requirements are the uh, the two given numbers are integer numbers, and the result is random number. The result is random number. You have to remember it's a random number. And the third one is the result should be between the given values. So people who came for interview, generally they don't observe all these requirements. The requirements they only observe are uh, so they only consider two requirements. One is uh, two integer numbers. The second requirement is the number generated should be the the generated number uh, must be between the given input numbers. They generally miss the third requirement. The number has to be random number. So whatever scenarios they give all the scenarios based on those two requirements. They never say they never give a test scenario which will validate whether the generated number is really random or not. So that's where you need observation skills. You need to observe the requirements. You need to observe the behavior of the product. And as a QA engineer, you need to have a good debugging skills. So if you observe any issue in the product, uh, you have to you should be you should be having the skills to checking at logs and identifying the root cause for the issue. At least you have to maintain some knowledge how that issue can happen, so that you can share those details with the development team. And you have to maintain broad understanding of the product. Unless you have a broad understanding on the product, you won't be able to validate your component completely. You need to know how your component will work with other components in the product scope. And effective communication is needed for any engineer to communicate his status, or to explain the issue properly to the higher management or development peers. And there is a creativity needed for QA engineer. So in automation, they have to use their creativity. Let's take an example. Uh, so if you know TestNG, there is a um, there is there is a function in TestNG called listeners and interceptors. So listeners we use for uh, uh, to listen something to listen on some event. If there is some failure happens, if you want to take snapshot of that particular failure, you need to call listener at that time. And interceptors are also there. So interceptors, through interceptors, you will be able to change the test execution sequence, and you can write your own logic to change test sequence order and all. So there is some creativity thinking needed while writing the test, and you should, and as well as you have to maintain that knowledge how to use TestNG, different components or different coding methods of TestNG and all. So knowledge plus creativity will give uh, uh, superb test automation. And development knowledge is needed for automation. Driving for results. This is the skill needed uh, to get developer onto the issue. So if you don't have driving for results skill, maybe you won't be able to convince developer that it is a real issue, and you will not be able to follow up for fixing the issue uh, from development side. And also for your own test, you need to maintain that driving skill of you need to you have to you have to write result oriented tests from your side as well. And these are the basic concepts for QA. QA engineer must know how to identify test scenarios from given requirements, and he should be able to design a test spec, and he has to identify. He should be he has he should be he need to have a skill to identify integration scenarios and designing some end-to-end test specs or integration test specs. And uh, so some of the engineers may work on HA scenarios, and they may into stress testing or load testing teams, and they may have to develop skills to identify HA and load and test scenarios. And at least as a QA engineer, it's good to know uh, uh, how to draw those kind of scenarios from test requirements. Good observation skills are always needed and requirements. Um, yeah. So before going here, I just wanted to show one basic test spec template format. This is one of the template format. I mean, based on the company you are working on, they may have their own test spec formats, but most of the test spec formats will have this much content only. Uh, yeah, I just wanted to give you the template. So you can mention different contact folks information here, and then uh, the basic format is you will have ID for your test spec, test scenario, and reference to dev document. The dev may maintain some document for your particular component. You can put a reference there. And the test spec description. So what is the test spec is about? What is the test case is about? And what is the expected result? And what is the priority of this particular test case? And who is the tester? Whether it is passed or not? And automation status, whether automation is completed for this particular test case, and if it is really doable or not. I mean, some of the test cases may not be automatable. In those cases, you will say not applicable, and maybe if there is any bug or anything you wanted to give, you put it in a comment section. So back to the presentation. So basic technical skills needed for QA. These are the basic skills any QA engineer must be aware. You should be having at least one programming language hands-on. Um, Java, Python, or both is always good. and good scripting skills are needed. Bash is like the basic thing. Uh, it's good to have Bash scripting skills. Perl and Ruby are also there. If you know Perl and Ruby, it's very good. And knowledge and framework development is needed. These are different technologies you must be knowing to design frameworks, and Maven, TestNG, Java, Selenium, and continuous integration tools, or I would say regression tools. Jenkins is a widely used one, and IDEs to develop your framework or to add code into your framework. Uh, you must be aware of these IDEs. Eclipse is widely used for Java development. IntelliJ is there, and Visual Studio is also there. And version control systems, Git is widely used, and there were other version control systems are also like SVN and all. For tracking, nowadays people are using Jira more. Um, so if you look at software software industry, uh, from software testing side, people were following waterfall model for some time. Now if you look at any company, most of the companies are following agile model. So in agile, they mostly use Jira dashboards and Jira tickets for tracking. And good to know for QA engineer. Um, so QA is no more playing QA role in now multinational companies these days. They are getting opportunities to work on DevOps related work, or they are at least getting some exposure to DevOps work. So it's good to have some kind of DevOps tools experience for a QA engineer. These are some of the tools listed here: Docker, Kubernetes, Chef, Ansible, Terraform, uh, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development pipeline developments. Uh, these are some of the skills it's good to develop as a QA engineer. And very good to know. Um, there are some cases where maybe you wanted to showcase your test results to the higher management. You wanted to you wanted to save um, maybe your test reports for last 6 months or 7 months, and you wanted to uh, extract some interesting thing out of that saved test reports. Like you wanted to show how your how a single test scenario or test case identified uh, maybe priority one bugs. Those kind of information maybe you wanted to extract from the test reports. You may need to develop some kind of tools using some kind of maybe big data or machine learning technologies, or some simple microservices. So it's very good to have these skills for QA engineer: microservices, Java, Python, Angular JS, some exposure on AWS and Azure to create uh, VM instances. And yes, excellent to know. These are the current trending technologies in market: big data, Hadoop concepts, Spark, Kafka, machine learning, AI. See, it's not a ending list. So you're in engineering field. You need to explore. Uh, you need to keep exploring, and you need to browse and learn the things. As I mentioned, there is no limited scope for learning. Keep learning. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So I will be, so whatever topics I mentioned here, I will keep content for all the topics, and we'll also think through um, some of the platforms where we can provide some platform to practically test your QA skills. That's it. Thank you.